While we're talking about the evil lies we're told by the popular culture and which have the potential to blow us up financially, there's one more terrible mistake I want to make sure we talk about. In an earlier video, I made the analogy that successful investing is a lot like the Garden of Eden. When it's done right, long-term investing aligns perfectly with your life goals. Using a very simple approach, one can own a diverse portfolio of equities and double their money several times over a lifetime. But then that pesky serpent comes along and whispers in our ear. He says, you don't have to be tied to the old economy disciplines like asset allocation and diversification. You're smart. You can see where the action is. You can outperform. One of the very first ways we'll do this is we'll throw diversification overboard and we'll concentrate all of our capital into a single high-flying sector or, God forbid, a single stock. If I had a nickel for the number of new clients who came to me owning a major concentration in some single decision stock that they had fallen in love with, I'd be a very rich man today. My job is to keep them from biting the apple. Diversification is a pretty simple concept and it's not hard to understand. In a nutshell, at one level, there's the overall equity market or a diversified mix of companies like the S&P 500. Next, there are business sectors which make up that overall market. And finally, there are companies within each sector. There's something that can happen that can shock the overall market, and all three are going to get shocked. It will cause some volatility, but the whole stock market can't be wiped out. Something bad can happen in an individual sector, which just affects that sector, but doesn't affect the whole market. This kind of bad event usually doesn't kill a whole sector, but in an extreme case, it actually can. The burst of the tech bubble was bad for technology investors, but that sector at least still exists. The horse and buggy sector doesn't exist anymore. Then there are a bunch of bad things that can happen to an individual company, which don't even affect their sector or the market at all. This happens all the time. An accounting scandal, a failed product launch, a drug that didn't get approved, whatever. These shocks can certainly kill the company, and history is littered with examples of once strong companies that went bust. When you own a single stock portfolio, you're exposing yourself to all three risks: company risk, sector risk, and market risk. When you own the market, you're exposed to only one risk, and that's market risk. So let's make this personal. I'm proud to admit that over 30 years, I've made every investment mistake in the book, every single one. One of the reasons I believe my advice is valuable to clients is so that they don't have to make the many mistakes that I made, because I won't let them. So I remember as a young man in the business buying a one-decision stock called Cisco Systems. I had a monthly program of putting all my savings every month into this one single stock that I loved. What was not to love? At the time, the information superhighway was being built, and Cisco owned all the toll booths on that highway. It was what they call a one-decision stock, and everybody knew you could never go wrong by owning it. So I put every dime of my savings I had into this one stock and watched it double and then double again. Then something terrible happened. The tech bubble popped and Cisco went from $81 in March of 2000 to $9.42 by September of 2002. But that's not the really tough part of the story, because a lot of stocks got killed in those years. The tough part of the story is what happened next. Here we are 19 years later, and Cisco Systems trades at $41, a little more than half of what it was on the high of March of 2000. For comparison, the S&P 500 is up by more than double since March of 2000, not counting dividends. Man, do I regret owning all of my net worth in Cisco Systems.